How's it going, lovebirds? You are now tuned in to the Good Relationships podcast, and on today's episode, we're going to continue the 7 Days of Singleness series, and we're just going to go straight into our topic today. Episode 37, Set Your Standards High. So, my first point is the reason you should set your standards high is, one, it makes you so much more attractive, and for a lot of reasons. If you yourself are setting your standards high for someone else, like your expectations are high, then that's exactly just what you're going to get. You're going to get high value people. You're going to attract high value people. You're not going to be looking in low places, if that makes sense. If you're the kind of person who wants to be around more successful people and more people who are using their time effectively, then you're going to position yourself to be around those people. But how do you do that? You have to first be that kind of person. You have to be the kind of person who, one, knows how to find those people, and just naturally you'll start to be around them and you'll have more in common, and you guys will just boost each other. You guys will, support each other and really help each other grow. And it's the same way with almost anything, because what you have to know is that a person's standards is based off of their own perspective. So for someone who is this amount of success in this person's eyes, and another person's eyes, that may not be their standard of high. It's not always the wealthy, super handsome person or beautiful person model status. It's like, that's not everybody's standard of high. That may be society's or whatever standard, but that's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying figure out what your standard is, whatever high standard you have, set that bar, and then don't budge on it. Like, don't settle at all, because the moment you settle is the same moment you're allowing a little bits of unhappiness to just be able to affect you. Like, you don't want to make a mistake, because this could be the biggest decision that you make when it comes to relationships in general. And that's the truth. It may not be the person you marry, but it could be someone who has some kind of detrimental effect on your health or your growth or even your success at some point, depending on when you meet this person or how you meet this person or where you meet this person. So, and this isn't just romantic relationships. This is all relationships. If you want to attract high value people, you have to first become a high value person. And I've mentioned in past podcasts how you become a high value person, but I'll just speak on it just a little bit more. You become the high value person by building skills, by building your own value, by creating the effect that you are different, that you are separate from everyone else. Like, for example, if you are working a job, in whatever job it is, the moment you figure out how to become more valuable is the same moment you can demand more pay, or you can go to your person who's in charge of you and they can start recommending you to get promotions. I don't know, but the thing that sets you apart from every other worker there is that you're giving some kind of different value. You're giving more, and for that you get rewarded for more. So it's the same exact thing when you're hoping to attract someone, maybe romantically or non-romantically. And I say non-romantically because as a business person, you want to deal with people who are of high value. I've done business with some shady people before in the past, and you don't know they're shady until later on. But at the same time, I was not thinking at the place that I was when I started developing the mindset of, okay, I need to be around higher value people. I need to be around people who know way more than I do. I need to be around people who I can just listen to, and I don't have to say anything because I'm willing to learn, So that's my idea of a high value person. If you're the kind of person who is simply thinking, okay, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to go to this bar or this organization. I'm working for this organization, or I'm going to go to this conference, or I'm going to go to this event and I'm going to meet somebody and they're going to love me. It may not be the case, because other people are looking for high value too. So you have to work on yourself first, and that's the fun part. The fun part is working on yourself. The fun part comes to mind when you think about all the amazing skills and all the amazing things that you can build when you're at home or when you're just alone or single. That's the best time to take some time out, build some skills, work on your body. Some people like to get a lot of tattoos. Some people like to change out their wardrobe. Some people like to study more, go to school, or take different courses, or start their own business, or just volunteer work. Whatever gives them that life experience for their idea of whatever high value is. It's all the same. You just have to figure out what it is, and then you have to go for it. Because the cool thing about singleness is you can practice everything that you want behind the scenes, and then you get to perform it with the people that you want to in the future. And to them, they're thinking like, okay, wow, this person is amazing, this person is very different. But the idea that you've actually been working behind the scenes to become a high value person is unheard of to them. It's unseen. They don't see that work. They don't see the actual intention of you being a high value person who wants to attract someone of higher value as well. So that's the real trick. It's figuring out what things you want to be good at, becoming really exceptionally good at it, and then going out and then performing it. Maybe you want to become a better communicator, so study up on communication. Maybe you want to become a better listener, study up on how to listen better. Maybe you want to be someone who kisses better, become a better kisser, like study this stuff. Someone who can read body language or verbal cue, anything. Like, figure these things out that you want to learn, and then go out and practice it, and just become that high value person so that you can be ready for anything. If you're a high value person and your standards are high, then whenever you're going out in public, you don't just give anybody the time of day. You don't just talk to anyone, and it's not like a rude thing. It's just like, hey, my time is valuable, and I really can only share it with certain people. And when it comes to value at the time, like, I can only give my time to so many people. So yeah, maybe we can schedule something, but right now I have to keep moving. This happens a lot at the gym. I see it. I've talked to multiple people, and some even on the podcast have mentioned when they're in the gym working out, there's people who try to approach them, and they're like, now's just not the time. So it's not that those guys aren't attractive. It's not that girls aren't attractive in the gym. It's just that their perception of high value is working, So when they see that work ethic, the person who is approaching them, they see that work ethic, and they're like, wow, that's something I desire. So that their value is there, and they see it, and they want that. But what they didn't do was they didn't continue to work either. They didn't work harder. They didn't outwork that person, because that could have been the thing that attracted that person to them, So I hope that analogy made sense. But it's basically just saying that you're either not looking for that person, or that person just gets attracted to you because you're of high value. And that's just how it happens. When you're working your ass off, when you're working on you and instilling values and great morals and building your financial life towards your financial freedom, and you're keeping your head up, but and just keep going, like, you're going to run into some people. A lot of people are going to be attracted to you. A lot of people are going to want you. They're going to want to talk to you. They're going to listen to you. They're going to want to figure out how you even got to that mindset. And there's going to be a lot of people you're just not going to have time for. And that's okay. Because when you do run into some people that have some high value yourself, the kind of conversations you'll have are just different. The kind of just energy you guys will be different. You'll be super excited because you'll start to meet some more people who are like you. And then when you get to that point, you don't want to settle because you want to set your standards high. Again, if you meet that standard, then set it high again, because that means you didn't set it high enough. You want to be so amazed by the person and people that you attract that you're almost confused. You feel extremely lucky. You feel like, wow, I hit the lottery with these people. Like, there's no way, like me, Obviously you worked for that. Obviously you deserve these kind of situations, but you just always want to feel like the person and the people that you're around are blessings, like they're one of a kind. And that's the exact kind of person that you want to be also. You want these people to say the same things about you. So just keep that in mind. And I promise you will meet so many more likable people. You won't feel like people don't understand you. You won't feel like life is just weird and that you're the only person that's like you. It's not the case. There are a lot of people like you, I promise you. Everybody has something in common. Even if they don't speak the same language, I promise you, you have something in common with them. Love is a universal language. Music is universal. There's just so many things that you can point out. Wardrobe is pretty universal. And that's just a few things that makes people more likable. Some things that you can compare that you actually can say, okay, this is what I enjoy. And I know that this person may have a similar interest. And that's just how you really attract those kind of situations. So if you're the kind of person who is wearing suits all day, I promise you, you'll probably attract more people who are wearing suits also. And you'll probably notice more people who are. And you'll probably you'll probably be avoided by certain people. You'll be talked to in a different way for some reason, or you'll be the kind of person where some people who don't have much money will start to ask you for money. And that's really, really interesting because that's just a wardrobe change. That's not a personality change. It could be because your personality decided to, put you in that position to wear those kind of clothes, but just a wardrobe change can show higher value if that's what you want. If that's the kind of person you're trying to attract. And if that's not it, then that's perfect. You could be the kind of person who doesn't buy name brand clothes. You could be the kind of person who is very minimal with items in clothes and just belongings, and you want to meet more people like that. Like, I know people who purposely live in their cars and purposely travel, and they meet more people like that. Like, it's whatever you want it to be. And that's the whole point, to position yourself around more people who are likable to you, who can support you, and who can also build you up. And then on top of that, you always want to keep someone around you who just knows so much more than you. Like, I personally hope the woman I marry is so much more smarter than me, because that would just be amazing. If there's so much more that I can ask for, and that would be one of the things. Like, I want to constantly learn from the person that I marry, and I'm grateful because I already feel like she'll be like that because I set my standards high, and I personally wouldn't want to settle for anything less. And everyone should be the same way. Any business partners I have, I want to be the best. Like, I want them to be the best. I want to not settle. I want to really take my time and really study them before I just rush into anything. And I only know this from experience of not doing that in the past, and it has always affected me, not in a positive way. And that's how you learn, though. So that's the next point. If you don't set your standards high, then you will definitely learn. You will feel the difference. You will feel if you are just so much more than the situation that you're in, or at least you should. And if you don't, then that's a problem. So I know some of you are in situations where you are definitely you've outgrown it. You've super outgrown it, and you're still there. You're still confused of why you're there. You don't know how to get out of these situations, and you're constantly thinking of better, more high value situations that you can be in, and what kind of person you could be in if you didn't feel grounded to where you are. But you have to make that decision. You have to take that chance. You have to get rid of that fear of what happens if you get out of that situation. You know, you're not giving up on anybody. If you leave, you're giving up on yourself if you stay. You know, it's like you can't be bound to any situation, any relationship that is causing you pain or is just bringing you low value and causing you to feel low energy. So that's very important, you know, and goes into my next point, which is you will be less susceptible to bullshit. If you keep your standards high and you yourself is a high standard person, I promise you will avoid the bullshit. You will avoid people who are constantly throwing bullshit at you. The clown season will not be for you. You will easily spot out fake people. You will easily spot out people who are more real. You will know if a person who is, if they're faking it until they make it. It's like you'll know, and faking it till you make it is fine as long as you're not like just faking it just for a certain feeling, you know. Like if you yourself are projecting that you will be something great, awesome, but you also have to stay humble and remember that like who you are is important to those steps. So if you're coming across people who are just throwing bullshit at you all day, then those aren't the kind of high value people you want to be with, because it's not sustainable. It's not something you can really build foundation on. So it's different to meet people who are like, oh, I have big goals. You know, I believe that I'm a person who will attain these goals. But right now, you know, I'm just working on those every day. That to me is completely different than I'm this huge person, I'm this big person, and I'm doing a lot, I've done a lot. When it's like, that's cool and all, but what is that? What about the future? What about growth? What about more value? What about creating more value for people? You know, it's kind of like take the finger off of yourself and then point it at how you yourself can help so many more people. And to do that, you have to become a higher value person, and you have to set your standards high. So once you set your standards high and you're avoiding all these people who don't have anything to really offer you, who aren't on your same wavelength, you don't even feel right in the same room as them. You never really agree. Your energy is just not the same. You don't really connect. You're not able to really, the conversation just isn't fueled. You know, work isn't fueled when you're working with them. You know what I'm talking about. Like there's friction. It's just not smooth, and you really are thinking in your head all the time like, how do I get out of this? You know, like once you avoid those people, you avoid the bullshit, and you start meeting more likable people, you will eventually meet someone that you can grow with. And that's my last point. doing this, you will no doubt attract someone that you can truly grow and build with. And that's everything, you know. I remember reading in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich and Outwitting the Devil. It's one thing to be a high value person and work towards your goals and just be amazing at everything, but something different changes. Like, something amazing happens in your life when you meet somebody else who is on the same wavelength as you, and you guys are supporting each other and growing together. Like, everything is just multiplied exponentially. Like, there's no roof, there's no cap, there's just growth, and it feels good because that person will eventually become your best friend and partner, and then you guys will just create the most of amazing memories together. So if not for you and not for the other person, for all of the people that you too will help as high value people with high standards. And if you end up having kids, your kids will have high standards also. You guys will just rub off on them, and you'll rub off on the people around you. So just naturally, from becoming a high standard person, you're going to change the standards of people around you. And if you don't, then the two things that will happen is you will either leave or they will leave. So that's something you definitely will recognize, and that's just how people leave, come and go from our relationships. They come and go from our life because either they grew up and they developed, they learned, they matured, or we did. And that's the point of life, continuing to mature, continuing to level up, continuing to become better people in society. And yes, I hope that you all take some time to just make a list of the exact kind of person you want to be, the exact kind of person you want to meet, and then I just really hope you start checking off that list. And as you're doing that, you're just grateful and appreciate the kind of amazing person that you were before and that you are becoming, because you are taking the time as a single individual to do this for yourself, for your significant other in the future, and maybe even your kids one day, and all the people that you will help and inspire in the future. That's all I got for you all. Thank you as always, lovebirds, for listening. And as always, stay blessed, not stressed.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.